Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 4Ps podcast. You know, I wrote a book called The 4Ps of You. And in this 4Ps of You, it talks about following your purpose and following your dreams and planning and having passion for your purpose and being persistent through all of those hardships that you are going to go through, those hardships, those obstacles, everything like that. And today I have two people. One that lives in Los Angeles, California. The other one lives here in my home city of Asheville, North Carolina. And these are individuals, these are both women who have gone out and literally followed their dreams. Both of them are single mothers. Both of them have to work and balance life and family and all these other things. And as they're doing this, they are making their dreams come true. These two people are, the first one is going to be Fallon Marino, and she's the one in Los Angeles, and she has a company called Elevate 360. You got to hear about what they do. It's just a fantastic thing that she does out there in Los Angeles. And the other person who's here in Asheville, North Carolina, is Carla Marin. And she is, not only is she a great entrepreneur, but she is a friend of mine, and she has by far the best sub sandwich all in the entire state of North Carolina for sure. And I'm going to tell you right now, I will put that up against any sub and anywhere in the United States, and you know what, the world for that matter. She has a fantastic place called Silver Ball Subs. We'll be right back right after this.
Your story matters. Your voice deserves to be heard. At DNP, we bring your dream, purpose, and passion to life in print. Whether your manuscript is ready to go or just an idea waiting to unfold, we're here to guide you. With expert editing, stunning graphics, and the knowledge to make your book a reality, we'll help you share it with the world. From book festivals to signings, this is your moment. Let's turn your dream, purpose, and passion into print. Connect with us today and make your dream a reality.
Welcome back to the 4Ps podcast. Yes, today I have a headset on because of technical issues, and that is okay. Today, we have a fantastic guest all the way from the city of Los Angeles. We were supposed to see each other in Los Angeles, but rain and everything else and schedules and stuff like that definitely got in the way while I was down there. Fallon, welcome to the program. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Trunnis. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited to be here and be a part of your podcast, 4Ps. I was telling you earlier, it's like really the blueprint, should be the blueprint of everybody's life, but I can't speak for everybody. It's definitely the blueprint for mine. You know, purpose, nothing matters without purpose. You can do all these things, but if you don't have purpose, what good is it, you know? And most people actually walking around today, they're walking around aimlessly. They don't have a purpose, and that's one of the biggest parts of society and human behavior these days is people just are in this constant rat wheel, chasing what they think happiness is, and they never find it because they don't even know who they are, you know. So, and passion, I mean, passion doesn't have to be there. It should be there. If you're living with your purpose, the passion's going to come automatically. You know, people wait to feel passionate, but it goes back to the fundamentals of not really knowing who you are, why you want the things that you want in life, you know. Planning, absolutely, execution, you know, dreams and visions and all that are great, but if you don't do anything with it, it's good for nothing. It's just stuck in your head. Nobody can do anything with that, so that's pretty good for nothing. And persistence, you know, it's that muscle of constantly pushing through. We were talking about, you know, the trials and tribulations of starting a podcast or starting anything, really. You know, there's so much work that goes behind it that people don't see. And it's not easy, you know, but it's really persistence. I believe it's a muscle that you have to keep exercising and putting into use. And eventually that hardness is going to feel easy, you know, because you're used to pushing through. So I know a little bit about your story. I wish I could have met you when you're here. I'm sure you'll be back out here. Oh, yeah. Thank you for having me here and giving me a platform to share what I'm doing and our movement together. I really appreciate everything that you're doing. Like I said, I really think that people like you and people who choose to contribute their life to something more meaningful, I think those are really the top 1% of people. I've been around a lot of things, a lot of rich, successful celebrities, people that are idolized by society, and I can tell you right now, it's not where it's at. That's not, it's not what you think, and as you are around all these rich people and successful people and famous people, and you really see how lost they are, they're still not fulfilled. There's still something wrong. And that just goes to show you, they're chasing the wrong things. It goes back to knowing and owning who you are, living life with purpose. You can have passion without purpose, but passion without purpose, it's a dead end road. It's not going to go very far. So I really appreciate. I never met you in person, but one day soon we will. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's funny. When you talk about this, I will say this. The funny thing is that we are going to have a re-release of the 4 Ps of You book. It's actually an expanded edition, and so I'm probably going to use like a lot of that for my commercials. So I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
It is absolutely humbling and it's flattering, and I do appreciate that. You are doing a lot of work in Los Angeles. You have a movement. You actually have an organization called Elevate 360.
Yeah.
And what I absolutely love about Elevate 360 is the target audience of Elevate 360. When you talk about purpose, and I'm going to let you finish this, obviously. When you talk about purpose, one thing, and I want to say this in a way because I'm sitting there speaking as an adult, but I'm thinking as kids, sometimes kids have, here, for example, we just had a new pope installed recently, and I was watching it was an interview with the new pope, and literally, as a kid, his mother used to put out an ironing board. And as a child, he actually acted and actually conducted mass from the ironing board. So this is a kid that is now the Pope, and This is how he started. So obviously he knew his purpose very early on. Your organization, Elevate 360, it helps kids in that capacity. Is that right, or am I?
Yeah, kids are funny. Kids go by what they see. They're so moldable. Elevate 360, I would say, is more for like Gen Z and lower. Kids, you can only do kids definitely is a plan to incorporate them. When I say kids, I mean like 18 and under, 17, okay. 16 and under. Yes. So Elevate 360, our first baby is the Get Real podcast, but it's more than just a podcast. Before COVID hit, I had a company called Be Iconic Entertainment. That was very successful. We did youth empowerment seminars, and they were for minors. It sold out. It's amazing how the need for this type of stuff. Parents themselves, there's so many motivational seminars and summits and all these things, Tony Robbins, blah, 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 blah. But they're all doing the same thing. They're all trying to fix broken adults. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes I'm sure it makes a little difference, but they're all packaging the same things in different ways, But I believe the core of youth are our future. Youth are our future, and if we can get to them before they're tainted, they're still moldable, and give them the tools, because the parents who are raising them, I'm not speaking for all parents, but you're a parent also, right? I'm a parent. My son is 17 years old, but, I didn't know always the right thing, wrong thing to do. We learn as we go. We're both kind of teaching each other as a parent, especially as a first-time parent, I think. You're kind of just learning as you go. And a lot of parents are stuck. They're dealing with their own life, their own work, they're overwhelmed. they're broken themselves and maybe never even got the help they need, you know, so they're raising these people, and it's just a never ending cycle, you know, raising a bunch of broken people, and those people are raising broken people, and then a select few of them will try to go to these seminars and summits and try to get help, but I would say 90% of them never put any of that stuff to use. You know, it goes in one ear, they're amped up for a week, and then it's over, and they're right back to living their life, you know. So the whole movement behind this is getting people while they're young and they're moldable. I haven't seen anything that really targets this type of audience. It's all for like business owners or, like I said, adults. They're adults already. You know, they're already on their path. They've heard the same thing a million times. So the Iconic, we did youth seminars that were sold out. These kids were all 17 and under, you know. And I thought, okay, this is going to be, it's new, so didn't quite know how it would pan out with people wanting to participate in the seminars. But within a week or 2 weeks of just mildly promoting it, I mean, these things were sold out. So I'm like, wow, this just goes to show you the need, you know, the need. Parents, yeah, you can hire a nanny to help babysit your kids, but it's just not enough. The school system is a complete mess. You can only get so much help there, you know. So if we can, and then, sorry, to finish that off, COVID hit, obviously, seminars, summits shut down. So I worked on my other businesses, and then I created Elevate 360. I wanted to kind of restart everything. Be Iconic, yeah, it's a nice name, you know, but iconic doesn't mean anything if you're not impactful. Iconic just kind of feels like a dead end to me, you know. Okay, you're iconic, okay, great, you know. So there's a lot of iconic people who haven't really done much. We know their name, there's pictures of them and statues, but that's kind of like, they can shoot a basketball real good, you know, right. But that's as far as it goes. So I wanted to, I didn't feel Be Iconic was the best name for what I was trying to do. So I renamed it Elevate 360, which is all the way around, you know, in all aspects of your life. It's a constant elevation, you know. I think even when you're 75 years old, you should never stop elevating and growing in all areas of your life, because what good is it to be complacent? I mean, I hate to say it, but I mean, what's the point, you know? I just personally don't see the point of being okay with where I'm at ever, you know. I feel like it's just, I'd be better off in the grave, you know. And that's just my personal opinion. You know, some people, they get to their retirement and they want to relax and just enjoy their life. And, you know, I get that. But for me personally, I think there's always more. As long as you're alive and breathing and walking on this earth, you know, you should always work on bettering yourself.
And, you know, it's funny that you should bring that up, because for on your target market, the people that you are addressing, there are so many things that are thrown at these young people of what they're supposed to do and how they're supposed to do it, and they just get totally confused with life. But then the funny thing is, it's funny that you almost talked a complete circle, because there's so many things that are thrown at older people that they get confused as well. And it's almost like that reset. It's almost like you're confused over here, like from 18 to 63. Let's just say that. You kind of have a routine, you do your thing, and you're good to go. But it's that like 1 to 18, and then that 63 to whatever. You're just kind of confused, and you're kind of lost.
I think they're more confused with the younger people. I think that's what really confuses them. You know, I love everybody. Whoever you love, you love. I have no problem with people being gay at all. I mean, there's people doing way worse things. But, you know, when there's a 25-year-old man in a skirt and a thong, I mean, and at a party, you know, with heels on and lipstick on, and of course, I mean, an 80-year-old man's going to be a little bit confused, like, what is going on? Times have changed so much, and I know social media is, it's all their fault. You know, social media is a huge issue. You know, it's like the younger people, they're being fed lies. You know, they're being just, they don't know what to think because there's so much information out there, and they see everybody flaunting things, on Instagram, all over social media. They think this is their work, this is what they should be doing. Young women, I mean, years ago, women would be humiliated for some cleavage or a booty cheek to show,
Right.
and now women are just posting completely naked almost all over social media, and they're proud of it, they're proud of it. And they're mothers, they're grown women. I just think it's so lame and disgusting. Like, there's nothing admirable about that at all. And I just don't see how, it's just really, really sad. The whole social media thing, and the people who partake in it and choose, like, okay, well, I'm a grown woman, I'm 30 years old, I'm going to take a picture from the behind in my bikini, I'm going to upload it onto Instagram. Like, I'm sorry, but are you that desperate for attention? I mean, this is why you needed Elevate 360 when you were 16 and 18, because you didn't have the right guidance. Nobody ever gave you the tools to know that your value is not in trends. You don't need to do all that. And that's really a sad thing to see, women start to go down this road, and it's becoming more and more prominent. So
funny that you bring that up, because I had, I'm now a grandparent, so I'm a 54-year-old grandparent now.
Mm-hmm.
And so in 54 in 2025 is different than 54 in 1985.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
They look a lot different. Okay. Thank God.
Yeah.
But anyway, but I actually saw someone who is also a grandparent on Facebook, and they had a picture. Now, this is a 50-some-odd-year-old woman, and I was like, the picture looked great, but then I thought about it. I was like, would I, and I put myself in grandson mode. I was like, would I want my grandmother in that, would I want her to take a picture like that? And it was like, and it's funny that you brought that up, because you do see sometimes, and sometimes it just goes over the line. Like, now you talk about that 30-year-old, your kid is going to see that one day.
Yeah.
It never falls off the internet.
Yeah. And it's just reiterating, I have to do this for likes, for attention. It's like, what are people going to do if social media goes down? It's going to be a scary, scary place. I mean,
oh yeah.
Just being in LA alone, it's already a scary place, because LA is its own world. I know that. I've traveled all over the country, into different countries, and LA is its own special baby. And it's for kids or anybody to be here. It's not easy. You have to have a very thick skin and really strong in knowing who you are as a human being. So easy to fall under this facade of, I have to show people something else is happening in my life, so I can be liked, or that's gonna bring some worthiness to me. That's gonna make me feel a little bit better about myself, So it's but I mean, that's the whole purpose of the Elevate 360, is to really wake people up and turn it around. It's not gonna happen overnight, but somebody's got to do something. Somebody has to do something, and I feel like it's definitely, that's where my purpose is. I'm a humanitarian by nature. I've always, God blessed me with this gift of insight and wisdom. I don't want to say I'm insightful and I'm wise, because I think it's just something that a trait that I've been given, and I'm so, so, so grateful for my mentality, honestly, and the way I think, because I've been around people from all walks of life, all ages, and it's just really amazing how broken people are, and being broken's okay. I mean, we all get broken sometimes, but the mentality of people, and at the core, there's so many different people, but at the core, everybody's the same, everybody wants to feel important, like the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I don't know if you've read that, but that's like the main basis of the book, is everybody wants to feel important. So, but you have to take pride in yourself, you have to take pride in yourself and what you do, and people are just so self-absorbed and worried about themselves. It's like the world, society, it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse. I feel like it's cooked almost,
It's getting close.
Yeah.
It is getting close. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
when you said that, I was like, yeah, what I want to ask you before we get finished is, I know that you have a podcast coming out. It is a great setup. I love the format. We were talking about it before we got on. Can you tell us about the podcast? I know it's not out yet. It is in the works, but can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, it's so it consists of 4 hosts, ages 17 to about 25. It's an open tabletop type setting, and it's people need to hear. They don't want to hear any more sugarcoating. It's something relatable that people will get fired up about. When I say people, I mean younger generation. Something relatable that this younger generation will actually want to hear, get involved with, get fired up about, and heed to the advice. They want to hear real stories. They want to hear about, get up in the morning, brush your teeth, and make your bed, and, all these rules to live by, and, go own your life, That's not how it works. I mean, that's why people, I think even, your brother has a certain style that he delivers, right? And he's been at it for a while. And, but now it seems like all these younger people just love him, and he's not young. But it's because these younger people, that's what they want. That's what they want to hear. They want that real gritty, hardcore truth. And this is what they need. The younger generation is so soft. They're so pampered. They want everybody else to conform to what they want to do so they can feel better, about what they're doing. And that's just not the way the world works. There's certain aspects, if you want to really own your life and have a great life and be an impact to society, that that a lot of people need, that they don't even know exist. So our 4 hosts, every day we bring a new topic in, something real, relatable, something gritty, that these young people can turn into and tune into and listen to. We'll bring guests all the time, from actors to athletes, talking about their story and their journey and offering to them advice that will really hit home and really do something meaningful, make some type of impact, because the way it's going now, it's just not working. So, but this is just kind of like the baby of everything. It's really more than a podcast. It's a movement. We have, in addition to the podcast, we have seminars and summits coming up, initially starting in Los Angeles and then going, on tour around the country. And these are really geared to get the youth fired up. Not anything boring, but something, they're going to walk in kind of being curious. And the goal is for them to leave change, and then for them to leave like, wow, really make an impact. And when's the next one? I want to go back to that. I want to go back to that because that hit home. That's what I need. That's what the little thing that I was missing, that I wasn't getting from anywhere else, because I was too busy scrolling on social media to even, even if you plant that seed, it's like, going to church. My mom took me to church as a kid, and that seed was always there. I growing up in my adult life, I sometimes went to church, I sometimes didn't go to church, but that seed that she planted, or that was planted in me, was always there. So sometimes so many people don't know anything,
Yeah. There's a saying. It says, train your kid in the way they should go, and they will not depart far from it.
Exactly.
So in other words, they might go a little bit, but they're not going to depart far from it. So that is a great
core
thing.
Core values and core beliefs, and knowing who you are, knowing your why, knowing your purpose. It takes a little while to find out, it does. But if you're rooted in beliefs and values, you're going to be okay. You're going to become a 25-year-old woman and say, but I don't need to show my ass to make me feel better about myself the next day. Like, I don't need to do that, And so that's really the purpose of this whole thing. And I wanted to start with the podcast because I thought it would be kind of like the face of what we're doing, get a buzz. I would love for you to come on the podcast
it'd be
and
my
share
pleasure.
your story and your journey, and a bunch of people with cool journeys, stories to tell, things that hit home, things that you can go back home later and actually think about,
Absolutely.
something meaningful.
And one thing I do love. I mean, I'm a still a college professor. I still do that. I still love reaching out to people who are really trying to change their life, and younger people who are trying to change their life, because it sucks trying to navigate. And the younger you are, the more stuff, and we do, and I will cuss too. We throw a lot of shit at these kids nowadays, and hold them to the weirdest standards I've ever seen. So I appreciate you doing that, and I also appreciate you giving them a major dose of reality outside of the Instagram and Snapchat 5-second post of what life is supposed to be like. Fallon, thank you so much for being on the show. This is not the last time you'll be on the show. That is for sure. And I hope to meet you in person soon.
Definitely.
We will be right back right after this.
Hello, I hope you enjoyed Fallon's interview. Again, she has some very powerful things to say. She is she's in the industry. She really loves young people, and she loves working with young people there in the Los Angeles area. She is doing just great things in Los Angeles. I am looking forward to her podcast. I'm looking forward to all of the other things that she is about ready to do out there. She has invited me to her podcast. I would love to be there. I know that based on even the format, I'll probably hold the record for a long time as being one of the oldest persons on that podcast. So I will be honored to be on that podcast, and I'll be honored to hold that record for a little while. Why not? We are going to have, in our next segment, we are going to have Carla Marin. And she is, like I said, she's from Asheville, North Carolina. She's an entrepreneur. She's a very diverse individual. What got her to the stages of becoming an entrepreneur is something that I really want you to listen to. Again, it is Carla Marin, and we'll be right back right after this. Hello, we're here today at Silver Ball Subs, and this is in Asheville, North Carolina. It's the place that I live. I've talked about it quite often. And we are here with Carla Marin. And Carla Marin is the owner of a wonderful sub place called Silver Ball Subs. Carla, welcome to the program. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Trunnis. Thank you so much for doing this for us.
Oh, no, I'm glad to be here. I love your food. It tastes excellent. But we're not here for the food, really. We're here for, you are a young female entrepreneur, single mom. So
hey,
there
honey.
you go. And she just, you don't see her, but she's actually popped into the picture a little bit. Again, so what makes you, first of all, you're not from Asheville originally, right?
No, I'm not. We're originally from Florida.
Okay.
Actually, we're originally from Honduras.
Okay.
And then we immigrated to the States a very, very long time ago. I'm not going to tell you how long ago, but a very long time ago. But I grew up in Florida. I lived in Boston for a few years. I moved back to Florida. And then about 5 years ago, we moved to Asheville, which we totally love.
It is a great place. It is a great place. And so did you come here just to start a business, or did you come here for other reasons?
As a new parent, your priorities sort of shift. And we just felt that we needed a new change. And we had been in Florida for a very long time. As I got older, I started to feel the humidity. And we just wanted a different pace of life. We wanted just something slower. We wanted something different. We wanted a new beginning. And we had come to Asheville to visit a couple of years before, and we just totally fell in love with it.
That is a story I hear all the time. Came to visit, now you're here.
No, absolutely. It totally is a true thing. So I was used to, when I lived in Massachusetts for a very long time, I had like that change of seasons, but then I got tired of shoveling snow, of course, right? And then so Asheville, I felt like had that really happy medium of all the four seasons, but very mild.
Right.
It was a no-brainer, and we are just completely happy to be here.
Yeah, I love it here.
Beautiful.
So being you're a parent, you are here in Asheville, you're running a business, you're running a household, you're running all these things. How do you do it?
By the grace of God.
Absolutely. That's true. And what does he tell you to do?
Well, he just tells me to just walk that righteous path, really. He tells me to listen to his will, and to do everything in his name. And really, we just love what we do. So it's just kind of easy. I could say it's my dream, and I wouldn't be lying to you about it. Every day that I wake up, I'm blessed. We have a home, we have food in our bellies, we have clothes on our back. My daughter goes to a really, really great school. We're surrounded by amazing community. And it's just really easy to just...
So you have a sub place, Submarine Sandwiches, and I will say this, these are like a million times, and I will go out and say it because they're not sponsoring me anyway, a million times better than Subway. Did you always say, hey, I'm going to move to Asheville and I'm going to open up a sub shop?
No.
Okay.
No, not at all.
What made you go, and entrepreneurs do this all the time. Like, I didn't intend to do this, but it works, so I'm doing it. What made you say, you know what, this would be a good idea to have a sub shop?
Well, at the time, I didn't know it was going to be a good idea. Truly and honestly, I think what motivated me was I wanted to be in control of my freedom, of my time. I wanted to be able to take vacation whenever I wanted. I wanted to be able to go to the spa or spend some time with my daughter and not miss those special moments, be at school plays, be at soccer practice, be at hockey. Right, whatever it is that she was into, that's really just kind of what motivated me to kind of just go out on my own. I also felt that, I've had all of this experience and training in all of these different types of industries, and I felt like, my talents are kind of sort of being wasted, right? It was more of like a test of will. It was almost like, okay, I want to see if I can do this. I want to go see if I can actually go and run a business, right? So I have a master's degree in accounting. I've worked for logistics. I've worked for the food and beverage. I've worked for education. I've worked for manufacturing, for advertising, for sales, for loans, all of these just crazy different industries. And I'm like, I'm kind of just tired of working for someone else and not really being valued, right? And not really going anywhere. And I just kind of just wanted to put that hard work into me, right? If I'm going to be 80 hours somewhere, well, why not be here 80 hours in this great sub shop, with music and people and really just get to talk to people and get to know the community, instead of just sitting in front of a computer all day long and having my eyes go bad.
Right. I'm going to bring up a story. First of all, in all disclosure, I am one of my hockey players' friends is obviously tied to Carla. So, but what I wanted to bring up is one time I was in the sub shop, and it was around Christmas time, and you were thinking, and it's funny that you talk about, your worth when you were outside before you were working on your own. You were talking about when you were working in industries and stuff, you wanted to feel valued. One thing that you did, and it was like, as a business professor, I'm like, man, that's actually pretty cool. She actually got, I think it was $100 per employee, but she got them in $2 bills. Now, if you live in Australia or you live in Canada, $2 is $2, but it's always a coin. Here, a $2 bill is in currency. It's in circulation, but it is also very rare. You don't see them often. So you were way out of your way to give everybody 50 $2 bills. Yes. What made you think about doing that? What made you think that was, because I thought that the gesture itself, because you had to work to get that, you have to order $2 bills.
Sure.
Yeah. What made you do something like that?
I'm nothing without my employees. Most of my employees have been with me for, 2 years. And without them, I wouldn't be here. So it was a gesture to show them that I value them, that I appreciate them, and that I want them to stick around. And, you know, Christmas is that time of year where you get to show people, really, it shouldn't just be Christmas. It should be every single day that you tell someone, hey, listen, I appreciate you and I value you and I'm so happy that you're here, right? Mm-hmm. We shouldn't wait for a special occasion to say those words to another person that you value and care for. So it was just really a way for me to say, you know what, I think that you're special. And I wanted to show them how special they were. I mean, sure, I could have given you a $100 bill and that would have been special, but to go out and order $2 bills, crisp, brand new $2 bills, you know, and to have them open that, you know, I want you to feel that joy. I want you to feel like how special you are. Absolutely. Right?
You know, I grew up in an entrepreneur family. My dad owned a business. He owned a business for years. And he, you know, raised his family and was a very successful businessman. One thing, and I'm not saying this for any other reason, but one thing that really, trying to use the right word, it was something that my father had difficulty doing, and that was balancing work mm-hmm. and being a parent. And there were times that my father was a single parent, you know, but yet you seem to have a good family, okay? What would you tell, and not only entrepreneurs, but what would you tell single parents in the audience? How do you find that balance? How did you get that formula?
I think that looks very different for families, right? There's a whole dynamic of different families out there with different situations, with different needs and with different wants. Mm-hmm. So first, I think that I would say that, you know, you really just kind of got to sit down and figure out, you know, what you have and then figure out what you need. You also need to be able to learn how to say no to certain things, right? You can't fill your schedule. You know, as much as I like to volunteer at my daughter's school for various events, I know that I can't do that for myself, right? So I think I would say is take care of yourself first. Mm-hmm. And that's not a selfish thing to do. But in a way, I would say, yes, it is selfish, but because when you take care of yourself, you have the ability to take care of others, right? It's a very simple concept, but very rarely do we take care of ourselves because everybody's like, oh, you have to be a good parent. You have to be a good boss. You have to like support your school. You have to support your church. You have to do all of these things, right? Mm-hmm. Well, sometimes it doesn't really work out that well because then you end up, right, most times, when you give and you give and you give and you don't give to the one person, which is you, then everything else starts to slowly fail and fall, right? Absolutely. And then relationships suffer. And then, you know, the next thing you're doing is you're at the psychiatrist saying, hey, I can't sleep, I can't eat, I feel this way. When really all you need is just rest and to be able to say no. You know, I am very fortunate, Trunnis, to have a really, really good support system. You know, my mom, I have Greg, or just friends. I have my church. And, you know, at the beginning, it was hard to find that balance. But, you know, to give you an example, yesterday, I took the day off. Mm-hmm. I dropped off Claire to school and I came back home and literally, I just got back into the covers and I didn't get up till 11 in the morning, made myself breakfast, and I watched a couple of news. I watched a couple of movies, and then it was time to, you know, to go get Claire. And I took the day off completely because I was like, you know, work is okay. Everybody's there. I've trained them. I communicate with them constantly. And I was like, I deserve a day off.
Absolutely.
You know, and I think that taking those opportunities to treat yourself and to be good to yourself.
Did your boss write you up, though? Kind of play hooky, I don't know.
Right. Maybe. Mm-hmm. But I was really glad that I did that for myself because, you know what, today I feel amazing.
Excellent. You know, I will say that, number one, you're an amazing person. This is an amazing sub shop.
Thank you.
And you know what? I love the spicy mustard here. It rivals any place I've ever had. So it's very, very good. And it's great to have you. And again, when you are in Asheville, I know that everybody talks about going to all these different places down by the river and stuff. Most of those, unfortunately, because of the hurricane, they're not there anymore. But this place stands tall, and it stood tall above the rest even before Hurricane Helene.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time today. And
Thank you, Trunnis.
we'll be right back right after this. Thank you.
Grief is a language we all understand, but healing begins with shared stories. Stories of friends and family lost brings together powerful first-hand accounts from those who've experienced unimaginable loss and found strength on the other side. Whether you've walked that path or love someone who has, this book is a tribute to love, resilience, and remembrance. Available now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and wherever books are sold. Stories of friends and family lost, because no one should grieve alone.
Hello and welcome back to the 4 Ps of You podcast. I had two fantastic and dynamic individuals that were on my podcast today. I hope you enjoyed listening to both of them. I hope you're inspired by both of them. And I know these are women, these are single mothers, but I want the men to understand that, you know what, we're in that same predicament too. There are a lot of single fathers out there. There are a lot of things that we have to do to make sure that we are taking care of our families and we are balancing the work-life thing. And both of those women have done an outstanding job and continue to do an outstanding job doing both. I love the fact that while I was doing the interview with Carla, that her kid popped up. And then the funny thing is while her child was sitting next to her, my grandson was sitting next to me. You never saw him, and he was very quiet. And I have to say that I'm very proud of his behavior during that time. You know, everybody, the 4 Ps of You. We have the 4 Ps of You book, and this book came out back in 2024. And it was a really good book at the time. It's still a great book, but you know what? I knew that there could be more with that book. And so what I did was, again, remember I say in this book, never marry your plan. So what we decided to do is we decided to increase and change. And so, wow, that's a pretty ugly dude sitting there. But we decided here to start the 4 Ps of You expanded edition. This book is bigger. This book has more purpose and more direction. And also there's a lot of things in this book that I've learned that I learned when I wrote my first book that I wanted to share with everybody because they needed to know this. They needed to know it as soon as possible. And this, again, is a 4 Ps of You expanded edition. It is out on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. We are going to be doing some other things. Obviously, I'm going to do the book tour and all that other good stuff. I love being on the road. I don't know if my family loves me being on the road. I definitely know that my Nissan Rogue hates me being on the road, even though I will tell you it's one of the most reliable cars I've ever driven. And I'm saying that, knock on wood. This is kind of wood. It's wood. But anyway, make sure you get that book. Again, it's available on Amazon. It's available on Barnes and Noble. It's available anywhere you buy books. And, you may end up getting it from me, and I may sign a copy from it for you here when I'm in your area, because I will be in your area for sure. Again, that is a 4 Ps of You expanded edition. It is available on Amazon and this, that, and the other. And also, please do not forget the Stories Of franchise. The Stories Of, again, I have so many books that I'm selling, but the Stories Of franchise is not about me at all. As a matter of fact, I write chapters in those books, yes, but these are also books to help you through your struggle. One of the P's is persistence, and one thing that you have to have in order to be, in order to live, period, is persistence. And those are some very dynamic authors. Those are very persistent people who have gone through grief, who have gone through transitions, again, these stories need to be shared with you. Again, the Stories Of franchise, you can pull those up. Again, you can get those on Amazon, and we are doing a massive tour. I could not even begin to tell you where we are with all the authors and where they're going and what they're doing at this time, because it'll be a whole entire podcast episode within itself. But you can go on Instagram to the Stories Of Instagram site, follow it, click it, follow it, see where it is, what's going on. We are also doing doing author calls. The Stories of Franchise is something that's going to be going on for a long, long time. At least that's what my publisher says, and we signed the contract, so that's good. And so anyway, with that being said, make sure that, pay attention, because we will be doing author calls on our Instagram site and also on our Facebook site. It's called the Stories of Author series. You can definitely pull it up. You can know where we are. And if you have a story that you need to share, you may be in one of the stories of in the future. Look forward to talking to you next week. Now, I will say this, Sarah O'Brien was supposed to be aired today, and unfortunately we had some technical difficulties that really prevented us from making sure that we did that episode, but we will definitely be re-recording that episode because it's something that you definitely need to hear. She's going to be talking about her brother Adam in that story. And since this is Labor Day week, I do want to say one short thing about Adam. Adam died for this country, and I absolutely admire not only Adam, but I admire Sarah for being as strong as she is and doing the things that she's doing for Gold Star families in her own way throughout the country. I will talk to you next week. See you soon. Bye-bye.